Similar situation again for you this preseason. Any different approaches in comparison to last year?
I feel a lot healthier than last year. That's a different approach for me. But no, approach is the same. I mean, really, I just want the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl, and I don't really have a lot individually going on in my mind right now. Just individually, my goal is to play the best I can, help the Cowboys win, and just continue to get better one day at a time.
It looked as if you were moving up until you hurt your groin last year. So are you like, man, I was just so close? This year, how healthy do you really feel in terms of I could push Cooper a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I feel healthier than that than I did last year. But yeah, I mean, different time. Again, it's like I mean, like I said last year, it's just not up to me, and play the best I can, and then leave the rest up to the good Lord.
Having the third quarterback, the new rules change, how is that going to be beneficial for guys like you who are fighting for a roster spot, that kind of thing?
Sure, yeah, I think it's obviously a rule that's come up that, I bet a few teams wish it was in place last year. But yeah, I think it's great. I mean, it keeps more guys in it, more guys. I mean, I prepare like, you're the starter every week, and you got to be ready to play, and you never know when that's going to be. So I think it's a helpful rule for teams and guys that are obviously looking for that spot.
How has this new offense been able to benefit you?
I think it's just a little more defined rules. I came into, with Kellen and the guys the past couple of years, I was playing catch up the whole time with a lot of rules that maybe were kind of bent over the years, or there's a lot of just gray stuff that was understood that to me wasn't necessarily in the playbook. So there's a lot of playing catch up, a lot of stuff that I didn't understand because they weren't really defined. Whereas this year we kind of defined everything and got to kind of start from square one in a lot of ways. So it just kind of helped me catch up a little bit.
Do you feel like it's pretty similar to what you've done in the past, whether it be at West Virginia?
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, West Coast offense obviously influence. We now it's the Texas Coast, so we've put a little bit of what Dak's been really good at in the past years, mixed with some of the West Coast stuff. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I've played in a ton of different offenses. I've done pretty much, I've done it all, I feel like. But I love what we got going right now.
Well, we've seen Dak's interceptions be made to be a huge deal over the course of this training camp. I'm curious from the perspective of a fellow quarterback, practicing against this defense, practicing against a defense that may know a decent percentage of the plays you guys are running.
Yeah.
How do you guys evaluate interceptions within practice against your own team?
Yeah, I think interception opportunities, putting the ball in danger, but there's a lot of situations where it's I gotta have it fourth down, or it's 2 minute we need a chunk. Obviously, sometimes everybody on the outside doesn't really see those situations, but we have to force the ball there. We have to kind of put the ball in harm's way in a way to try to make a play. So when it comes to evaluation, you got to force the ball there. That's not really your fault that was an interception, or if it hits off the guy's hands or something like that. I mean, that's not really your fault. There's things we talk about, with the opportunities where maybe it was an interception, but it was an interception opportunity. So those are being evaluated as well. As far as Dak goes, I mean, I don't get. Dak does a great job every day. Throws a lot of touchdowns, a lot of completions. Does what he's supposed to do. He's had a great camp. I'm excited to see him play healthy this year.
Specifically in preseason, and already the degree of difficulty that you have at your position, but when it's guys that haven't gotten a lot of reps and or face a steep learning curve, rookie or first year guys, how much is the degree of difficulty elevated more in preseason?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's a lot of moving parts, especially for a guy that has already got his head spinning about a lot of things on and off the field. So for those guys, man, it's really, when it gets to the game, it's just, look, man, study, prepare as best you can, and then just go play. Just go play. If you make a mistake, shake it off and keep rolling. That's all we can do in the preseason. And I'm there for him as a veteran guy that's done the preseason for a few years now. I understand where they're at, and I'm going to try to help them as best I can to just play free, keep it simple.
What have you liked about the young guys in this receiver room?
It's a good group. I think they know what to do. They're excited to learn, and I've watched them develop really since the spring. Just as far as just simple things. Just they're sharp, man. It's like a competition. They don't want to be the one that messes up. And when you don't have a ton of mental errors, then you can kind of coach the some of the skill stuff a little bit more. We've been able to do that with this group because they've been so dialed in on some of the scheme and stuff. So it's a great group, and I'm excited to watch them play. You know, it's different when the lights come on, so I'm excited to see some of these guys show up and play.
Coach McCarthy made a good point because he talked about what he wants to see from the guys is contested catches. I guess that's the thing that we don't get to really see
Totally.
to that level.
Yeah, contested catches and then breaking tackles and scoring. I mean, I'm excited to see some of these things come to life. I mean, I'm gonna give these guys chances to make contested catches. You know, I'm an aggressive guy and I'm gonna take shots, and I trust these guys to come down with the ball.
Jalen Brooks in particular, it seems to have a really good camp. What have you seen from him and the way he's kind of seized his opportunity?
Yeah, great camp. Another Charlotte guy, so you already know how that goes. But he's been dialed in from day one. I mean, I've done extra work with him. We've sat in my room here in camp and gone through scripts and made sure he's dialed in, and it shows because he's dialed in. He comes out here and he just plays and lets his talent and his skill kind of take over. And I'm really excited to see what he does in the next couple of weeks, and because he's got to continue to take steps. I mean, he's had a good camp, but there's a lot left to go and a long season. But no, I'm really impressed with him. I like where he's at as a player and as a guy too. I like Jalen a lot.
What's one thing you want to work on from the off season to now?
One thing I had to work on. A lot. I think I've worked on my throwing motion a lot, to be honest. I have never really tweaked it a lot, never really thought about it a lot. But as I've, grown and developed, I've been with Dak the whole offseason. I've been just following him around and doing what he does. And I've learned a lot from him and the guys he's worked with, just about being more rotational and taking care of your arm and things like that. So I had a good offseason, just kind of being a sponge with those guys.
Is it a mechanic issue, or is it just changing everything?
Not necessarily changing everything, but just the idea of being a little bit more rotational and not as John Elway and more not as, you know what I mean? No, it wasn't an overhaul by any means. It was just on a lot of times when you get moved off the spot, it creates some mechanical things, and we put a lot of work in this summer of being able to move and keep our mechanics in form, so we're not being really jerky and muscly with the ball as we're moving.
On Saturday, from your perspective, what do you feel like you'd have to put on tape that after the game, as Will Grier, you could look back and say, I feel good about what I did?
Yeah, I think just being consistent and not making mistakes. At this point in my career, I think it's just about playing time for me. Like I think I know I can play. I think the coaches know I can play. They want to see me go execute, drive the ball down the field, and at the end of the day, I know I'm prepared, and I'll be proud of what I put on tape regardless. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things can happen, and we're going to just push through it and roll with it, and it's going to be great.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.